On today's show, we head to Winton Motor Raceway in northeastern Victoria for the 2021 season opener of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars Series. It's been 15 months between events and the Pro and Pro-Am drivers are ready to blast the cobwebs away and make plenty of sideways smoke. Then we dig into our archives and wind back to 2014, where we head to the Newcastle foreshore of the New South Wales Hunter Valley and look back on the opening round of that year's Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. This is Speedweek.
We are here for the 2021 season of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars. It's been a huge hiatus here with everything going on around the world, but we get drifting back underway this weekend here, a couple of hours out of Melbourne, Victoria, here at Winton Raceway. We can't wait. We've got a huge field of drivers in not just Pro, but Pro-Am have a very strong field. I'm Matt Kavanagh, back for the season, and joining me is Dan Mackey. It's going to be a fantastic event, isn't it, Dan?
Mate, look, it's awesome to be back on track and have these cars out here blazing. The guys have just done so much hard work on their cars in the off-season, so there's plenty more colour, there's heaps more excitement, and from what we've seen so far in battle practice this morning, it is looking hot out there.
Mate, let's talk about the field numbers. We have a top 24 in both, and some guys missed out. We had to battle it off for it.
Mate, we've had a great turnout coming back to the season and getting back on track. The guys are obviously keen to get out here. We've got a nice crowd forming out there as well. It's motorsports, what people have wanted. They're really so excited to get out here, and so am I, mate, I'll be honest with you.
Well, one half of the Hi-Tec Blaze unit joins me here on the Starline, Scott Shembry. It's a new season. The car's got a new look. How are you feeling?
Oh, mate, it's good to be back behind the seat after, obviously, all the COVID stuff going on. So, yeah, look, feeling pretty good. Been a good weekend so far. Had a few dramas in qualifying yesterday with the car. We sorted that this morning. So, just ready to get out there and put on a show.
Mate, you're looking absolutely fantastic. You're a new man at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I dropped a few kilos. Thought I'd get some weight out of the car. So, try and look after myself a bit better and look a bit more professional, not a big slob. So, no, we're ready to go.
Look, there's one big name. He made an announcement earlier in the year, didn't he? He's going to retire from professional drifting. Bo Yates, not in the field this weekend. So who's going to be your biggest competition?
Oh, mate, there's a lot of new drivers out there. The two Tasmanian boys are just killing it out there. So I think if I get through my first bat, I'll be up against Brady, qualified second. So, you know, we're just out here to put on a good show for everyone at home and do it for Hi-Tec Royals.
Yeah, fantastic to have the Hi-Tec Blaze unit back. Of course, our season launch here at Winton Motor Raceway in Victoria for round number 1. Then we head off to the Bend Motorsport Park for round number 2. Round number 3 all the way up in Queensland Raceway, and then we go back to the spiritual home of drifting. Of course, Sydney Motorsport Park for round number 4 and 5, where we finish things off on the 12th and 13th of November. But having a look at our qualifying results in the Pro class, you can see Matt Harvey, number 1 qualifier again on 90.3 points. Brody Mayer, another Tasmanian, in second, so the Tasmanians 1 and 2. Moa Hawley in third, then Brendan O'Grady ends up in fourth. William Honest in that little Corolla in 5th position. Jason Ferrin in 6th. James Abbott back in 7th position, and Glenn Omrod in 8th to round out our top 8. Right now, though, it is Jeff Hayes who's with our number 1 qualifier, Matt Harvey.
I'm here with Matt Harvey, our number 1 qualifier for 2021. How are you going out there?
Actually, really good, actually. We're a little bit low on tyres at the moment, so we've got enough for the finals, but we've only done 3 runs today, and cars seem to be perfect, so can't complain at all.
What's new for this year? Any sponsors or different things that you've done?
Nothing really, to be honest. We kind of had a perfect setup for Sydney last year, which we won, so we kind of just did a little couple of things just to make it a little bit better, and that's about it.
Yeah, Matt Harvey has a absolutely stunning setup in that car, and of course he took out our round number 1 in 2020, back then qualified 1 as well. But we go to our top 24 highlights right now. As you can see, Patrick Barley, Dan, is he just smokes it up there in that brand new setup car, but doesn't make it through. Daniel Mesmer has a fantastic run in this one.
Yeah, well, Daniel Mesmer, former Pro-Am champion. He's in a borrowed car this weekend, but Patrick Barley still working out a few of the teething issues. The track was pretty difficult and pretty technical, you know, late clips, wanting them to see technical entries. So the guys had a fair bit to work out, and you've got to throw in a new car on top of that. It makes it pretty tricky. You can see there where Mitch Doyle just having a few issues trying to get through that technical outer zone. They wanted the guys to come in really hot and fast, snappy, push through that section. It brought a lot of the guys unstuck all the way through both Pro and Pro-Am. And you can see that unfortunately caught Mitch out there.
Yeah, well, Mitch actually made it through into the top 16 because Angus Kidd blew a gearbox in that one, unfortunately, just with a bit of a clutch kick as the centre Tunney comes out, and, mate, he's had a bit of time behind the wheel recently, and you can see Alex comes in and door to door he goes, puts that nose in. Unfortunately, that did see centre Tunney go through to the next round quite easily there, and look at the damage on that car.
Yeah, so Dane Loco Wilson, not Alex, that one, but yeah, he did have a bit of damage in there and just came in too hot trying to get that technical section right and didn't quite get through it. This one's a cool battle.
Yeah, you see Scott Shembry getting back, the Master Chef baking those new tyres they're trying out. The Tri-Aces are on this weekend, a brand new sponsor for our series, and he is baking those tyres. Matty Grice in the VK behind, doing everything he can in that big turbocharged LS, but Scott Shembry there made it through to the next round as we see the next couple come out, and mate, this is a fantastic little battle going on between these two.
Great to see both of these guys back out. You know, Sam's been in the Hi-Flex car's been out of the event for a while now. He was rebuilding that car, giving a refresh. The thing is really singing. And of course, Alex Kenderowski, he's always really, really well driven, great cars, turns them out. They look fantastic and professional. That one's had a couple more hits than probably Elvis did this weekend, but you know, when they turn up, they're always looking great.
Yeah, and then you can see Benny Mendes leading out, and some big issues here now. Damien Cook, he came out really well in qualifying, but unfortunately when it actually came to battle time, that car seemed to have developed some issues there, and we've seen him go off track there a couple of times and really handed Benny Meir the win in this one to get Benny into the top 16.
It was never going to be easy against Benny Meir. He's a very, very consistent, really gentleman-style driver. You know, he leaves lots of opportunities for people to get in there. So Damien was up against it, and like you said, he did have a couple of development issues and stuff with that car that just seemed to raise their head when it got to battles. Danny Probert, all the way down from the Northern Territory, he's been driving really well, but again, the technical entry there just catching drivers out and unfortunately having a bit of contact with Alex Sharker there.
Yeah, Danny Probert didn't really have a good weekend after bending some arms earlier in practice there where he had some contact with some other cars. You can see the battle damage already on the side of that, and Alex Sharker there had nowhere to go, and unfortunately you can see him here. They had to fix that up. That was a power steering cooling line there that they had to just really bypass at the time, and it was great to see Danny Probert actually ran down and made sure those guys got back out for their next battle.
Yeah, Scott Shembry in there helping out too. That's one of the things I really love about drifting, mate, is that it's a real family environment. You know, there might be fierce competitors out on track. It's these two are here, but they always get out there and they battle hard, and when it comes to the pits, they try and fix each other's cars and help out where they can, lending parts of. I've seen people lend spare arms and things to get guys back out there so they can beat them on the track and not in the pits.
Yeah, Brad Toohey came back though from the ACT, of course, the Zestino tyres, 86, back out there, back in for the season. And I think it was Mickey Moo who was up against there actually. And Mickey had to borrow that car off Damien Cook, so it was great to see him out here as we head to the top 16 highlights now. Daniel Mesmer made it through, and of course Matt Harvey is so clinical, isn't he? He's the surgeon when it comes to this, Dan.
Absolutely, mate. We've been calling him a surgeon now for about a round because he just does. He rolls out of the box and he's so clinical. He just gets all of those clipping points. And all the drivers that are home and want to see what he does, like he said in that earlier interview, the car set up, it was working really well in Sydney, and he just got in, drove it, did 3 sets of tyres, and he was happy with it. Put it on, stuck it on pole, top qualifier, and again, you know, he's had a bit of contact but didn't lift out of it and kept battling away, taking Daniel Mesmer all the way through and picking up the victory.
Yeah, Mitch Doyle was lucky to get through this one after Angus Kidd with some mechanical issues, got him into the top 16, but Glenn Omrod in that 86, that is so well set up. And we know he's been taking some pointers off of the former champion, of course, Bo Yates, and that's a very similar setup car, that one with the 2J obviously powering the 86, and just leaves Mitch Doyle behind there. You can just tell how much grip that car has, and doing a superb job, Glenn Omrod, this weekend so far to make it into the top 16. Yeah,
very technical, very smooth driver. This one's a great battle and great to see. Again, two big thumping V8s in little cars. Brendan Bogger O'Grady, another graduate from through the Pro-Am series, built this car. It's got something like 1,100 horsepower or something, makes that at minimal boost. Getting it all a little bit wrong there and running into the side of Ben, but Ben making a bigger error just up ahead here, and you're going to see that.
Yeah, you can see there, I mean, Bogger, he's just got so much power in that car, doesn't he? And the grip levels that it's showing, I mean, of course, they're obviously on the Zek Novas this weekend as they go around. Benny Meir just powers away that time, but Bogger's car is dialed in this weekend. And Senna Tunney, I love him out in front here, does a nice job on this run. But what about this little Corolla? This is insane. LS powered, of course, and check out the lock. And I love it with no front bar and it. Wild out on the dirt and, nearly pulls that car up. Manages to hold on to it, but really hurts him in the points there, doesn't it, Dan?
Look, and this is what happens when you set a section of the track that requires maximum commitment. Senna threw it in hard. William in the background, he had a really big crack to try and do the same and just got it a little bit wrong. And that's the difference between circuit racing and drifting. In circuit racing, you make little errors and go on to win, but unfortunately for Will, that error's cost him and he's back on the trailer.
Yeah, well, Shembry with a tough component. Now, Brady Mayer, the second of our Tasmanians to make the trip, obviously, on the barge across and do this. And Brady Mayer was super impressive in qualifying, ended up second behind Matt Harvey. So I don't know what they're doing down in Tasmania, but whatever's in the water is working when it comes to drifting. Now, Shembry's a tough competitor out there in the 370Z. It's got a fresh look on it. It's looking great with the Tri-Ace tyres and a lot more grip this weekend, but Brady Mayer just sticks it to the door.
Yeah, he's just not giving up. He's really battling hard. And, I mean, Shembry's doing a great line out in the front. We always look at that too, Make sure you set a good line and do the right thing. Unfortunately, though, he wasn't good enough in the chase to be able to get it up and done. And so, Scott's back on the trailer as well.
Yeah, Brad Toohey there with an early initiation to that one, already losing a lot of ground on Jabbett, of course, as he goes through. And Brad Toohey just couldn't close that gap up in this run, and that does give a big advantage to James Abbott there, of course, going out. This car obviously rewired, new ECU on board for this weekend, so a bit of a refresh to come into season 2021 as well from the Hi-Tec Blaze unit S15. But he gets out in front, and Brad Toohey just couldn't close that gap up.
Yeah, the thing sounds amazing, and Jabbett probably in some of the form of his life, really, really driving amazingly. So it's great to see him progressing through, and that new car looks unreal.
Now, Mo Hawley had a lot of work to do. As you see, contact there from Alex, and that actually snapped one of the knuckles in the back. They bent that up, and they had to go and do some repairs in between runs. But Mo and his crew got together. They all rallied around and got the parts together, as you can see there. Look at that. That is way. I don't know how he actually finished that lap without coming off of the track. He did an amazing job, Mo Hawley. But he was number 3 qualifier too. Very impressive this weekend. Got the car fixed, came back out, put it door to door. Of course, that big turbo LS. I mean, that is a monstrous turbo on the front of that thing. And did a nice little chase run on this one to make it through into the top 8.
Well, it's pretty easy when you think about it. I mean, his nickname is Moey, don't worry. So, you give me 28 degrees of toe out and I'll just keep, don't worry, keep drifting. That's Moey.
Alex Sharker carrying a fair bit of damage from that top 24 battle there with Danny Prober, but they got this car back together. Everyone rallied around and made sure they put this car back on. As you can see, door-to-door action, though, from these two.
Yeah, Jason Ferrin's first time, too, in the Hi-Tec series, and he did really, really well. I think he actually qualified higher than Alex, but he just couldn't quite get it together in this battle, which was a little bit surprising for us. We'd seen some really, really great runs for him, but I guess that's the heat of battle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As you can see up there, of course, our battle ladder. Top 16, Matt Harvey, Daniel Mesmer. Matt Harvey made it through. Glenn Ormerod goes through over Mitchell Doyle. Brendan O'Grady got past Benny Meir in that one. Senna Tunney held out William Honest in that little Corolla. Brody Mayer goes through over Scott Shembry, and he'll have to take on his teammate in the Hi-Tec Blaze unit, James Abbott. Mo Hawley gets the win over Alexander Kantorowski, and Jason Ferrin, unfortunately, doesn't go through. Alex Sharker will team up against Mo Hawley in the top 8. So that's our top 8 in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro Series, set to get underway after this next ad break, as well as the top 8 in our Zoo Performance Pro-Am here at Winton Motor Raceway in Victoria.
So we're here at round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars at Winton. After a bit of a break due to COVID, we kept ourselves busy doing more development to the car. It's an awesome car, but it just hasn't quite been there. So we weren't getting the speed out of the car that we want. It has so much potential, but we're getting left behind a bit. So we're now on the Tri-Ace tyres, and amazing how the car has changed from something that I was tiptoeing around and trying to get around the track, and now if it's in my head, I just think it and the car goes there, and it's awesome. Also, we changed the ECU. We've gone to a Motec M1, and we've done a few other changes. We've got anti-lag now, and another thing we did was unusual, but we've actually turned the power right down for this round. We were up near 900 horsepower before, and we're down to about 650, but with the anti-lag, we're getting out of corners faster and it's more usable power. And that Motec ECU is just amazing at controlling everything, so all I got to do is steer the wheel and put the pedal down, and it does the rest. I feel super confident, more than I have ever felt in the car before. There's a bit rusty with the time off, but I feel like I did back in my old car where I knew it like the back of my hand, and I just haven't felt that in this car until this point now. New tyres, new ECU, and all the work that the guys have done in the off time is really paying off. So if my predictions are correct, you're going to see a Blaze unit up on the podium this weekend.
Yeah, fantastic to see James Abbott and the Hi-Tec Blaze unit back here for 2021 and the Hi-Tec Drift All-Star Series. But first off, though, we're going to kick things off with the top 8 in our Zoo Performance Pro-Am. As you can see them already starting to make their way out onto the track, of course. That's Alex Sharker just getting the car ready for the Pro Battles as well. That top 8 coming up, all thanks to Hi-Tec Oils. Of course, I'm Matt Kavanagh. Dan Mackey joining me here in the commentary booth, and it's a fantastic round number 1 already and some surprising names here in the qualifying, Dan.
Yes and no, mate. I mean, watching these guys develop over the weekend, and they tend to do that. You know, they come and speak to us. They want to know where they've got to improve their lines and stuff like that. You know, Matt Harvey just spoke about it. He banged straight out of the box. He was right on it. That's why we're calling him the surgeon, because he's just clinical. But the other guys that are up there, they're the ones that have been talking to us and making sure they're getting that line, particularly that technical bit, sorted out. So seeing these guys come up is pretty much where we think. Certainly Nathan Ranson, though, he was a little bit of a surprise in the Pro-Am.
Yeah, taking on Sam Mudge, obviously in the top 8 of the Zoo Performance Pro-Am there. Brian Cruikshank will be taking on Steve Cerrone this time. As you can see, Brian Cruikshank out in the lead on this one. It's the top 8 here in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am, and look at the little BMW get underway. It twists right up. You see a bit of daylight under that front left wheel too as he goes around. Steve Cerrone's been doing heaps of work on that car behind you. The RB got the dry sump on, all thanks to DC Tuning, of course, this weekend, but Brian Cruikshank has the grip dialed into that little E36 BMW. I mean, he works on chassis as a day job. You know, he works at SCF race cars, so he knows exactly what to do, and he's actually building a pro car at the moment. So good to see him coming back and going in Pro-Am again for this year. He was expecting to be out in the 2020 series, so he's had to hold on to that one as we change over the drivers, and Steve Cerrone will lead this one out, Dan.
Mate, look, as you say, Brian's been another one of those drivers who's been coming and asking lots of questions about where he needs to be on the line, what he needs to be doing in his chase position. So I'm expecting a pretty clinical result from him here, just to follow along, leave that little bit of car length. Whoa, he's dove right in. This could be dangerous. But he's managed to catch it all together. Steve Cerrone doing the right thing. We wanted him to leave room for the chase driver there through that run, and he's done that, which has allowed Brian to gather it up. Big deduction for Brian, though. A little bit of a deduction for Steve because he was a bit wider than we wanted. But again, this is a pretty tight battle, and in the end, Brian sort of brought it back together and is managing to catch it up. Reasonably good result, and he's going to take the win.
Yeah, it's so close, these battles, when it comes to the Pro-Am, but so much grip there from Brian Cruikshank dialed in that car. Next up, though, is going to be Nick Clippen taking on Benny Matthews from the ACT. And Clippen, well, he just goes out in the 180 there. You can hear that little SR20 labour along as they do, and these guys are going to battle out. And you think Clippen, he's got a nice little lead at this point, but the judge is probably looking for him to push out a little bit further at that point and try and come around into that clipping zone.
Yeah, definitely looking for a bit more commitment through that section there, but I believe Nick's actually possibly nursing a little bit of a misfire issue that developed this morning for him. The crew have been madly trying to chase it, but of course, you know, the show must roll on. We've got time frames to hit, we've got people at home watching, and we're going to run out of daylight at some point, so we've got to keep pushing along. So he's trying to battle that best he can with a misfire.
Here we go, Benny Matthews now will get to lead this one out. Of course, he's got the new livery on this weekend. The car is looking absolutely fantastic, and he takes off. And let's see if Nick Clippen can stick it to the door of him on this one, because this could be a nice little win for him. Matthews there does the same thing, goes a lot wider though. You can see him grab a fair bit of handbrake there to try and push really out to the track where the judges were looking and come around to that clipping point.
Great example there of where we always talk about how important it is to have a great lead line so you can have a good chase. A little bit of an error there from Nick. It could have been that car cutting out. Maybe it's finally beaten him. Ben's going to probably go on, and well, he will go on and take the lead now with a big straight line. But lead versus lead is always what we judge on first, and then it's chase versus chase. So yeah, Benny going through.
Yeah, good drive there from Benny Matthews, of course. He qualified 15th, so doing a fantastic job here today in Pro-Am. Nathan Ranson now will lead this one out over Sam Mudge, and expecting Ranson to lead away, but he doesn't, a lot slower on this one, so maybe some issues there for him as he has to do a big clutch kick going into that first corner. Sam Mudge now will just need to get up on the door and hopefully gain an advantage in this battle as you see Ranson go out really wide up in that ribble strip. Oh no, the car sideways, and Sam Mudge has to do whatever he can to not make contact, and that's really going to hurt Ranson in the point score, Dan.
Look, it's his first competition at this level, so, you know, to see Nathan qualify first and be leading out battles, you know, the pressure does get to you as you start to get into these top 8, and it's all what this series, the Zoo Performance Pro-Am series, is about, is building confidence, getting more battles under the belt and understanding where you fit into the world of drifting. So, great job from the guys, and great to see them regather and then and redress and finish off that battle. That's what we want to see.
Well, the pressure's all on Sam Mudge this time because he's got a definite advantage when it comes to this battle, but he does need to put a lead run together and make no mistakes or very little mistakes here, as Ranson now might be able to put it to the door. He's already made it through on some tough battles, but no, he straightens there for Ranson. That's going to hurt him in the point. Sam Mudge, though, not doing too bad a job, tries to fill that outer clipping zone there as he goes through, and he gets back on the loud pedal there and makes it through into the next corner there. Doesn't leave much room, though, for Nathan Ranson, so it's going to come down to what the judges see, and he spins off. Oh, no, on the grass.
Well, that just settles it, doesn't it? Spin from each driver. There's going to be one more time. These guys are going to have to go again. But, Sam was being really technical up to that point. He did just leave enough room for that chase driver to get in under his door. Unfortunately, though, trying to push for that big throw into the final corner and just tick all of the boxes, he messed it up. So here we go. We'll send him again.
Well, Nathan Ransom will lead this one out, and Sam Mudge now trying to get that nose right up on the door there as he comes right in, tucks in, pulls it up nice and short, doesn't make contact. That's a good little way to catch that gap up. At this point, Ransom now gets back on the loud pedal, pushes through this next corner, gives him a little bit of room there to put the nose in. Not quite as much as the judges wanted there, but Sam Mudge goes out wide. He'll have to try and gather that up here as they go through the last corner there. Ranson comes out wide down. Oh, that is so close to call.
You can see straight away from these guys when they swapped it around, we're swapping it around now, but when they came back, they already built some respect for each other. So straight away their battle was closer, and that's what we're looking to see developing in this category. As we watch now, Sam Mudge, he's been really super aggressive through this section. I'm expecting to see him do exactly what he's done there and draw a gap right out to that clip. That's perfect. And now we're seeing Nathan drop off. So Nathan's really got to catch up and use these opportunities we've built in there for him to get back on this door, or he's looking in trouble. And a little bit of a wobble there. That's pretty much shut the door for me. I'd say it's going to be Sam Mudge, unless now he's had a straighten.
Yeah, this one's going to be close, but they're going to have to try and get a decision here. And it looks like Sam Mudge is going to get the win in this instance there, as they just outdid him just by the slightest thing in the points.
Slightly too many errors from Nathan in the end for me. That's why Sam got the nod.
Here we go, Adam Burgess, the HMAS, as it is commonly known, I suppose, in the ranks of drifting there. The big BA XR6 Turbo goes through, but a bit of a straighten there. Jory Bretkoff in the background. He's doing a nice job, though, not following the line. I know you meant to use the lead driver as a bit of a clipping zone through some of this drift, but he's had to go and do exactly what the judges want, as Adam Burgess now drops a wheel out in the dirt, and that's really going to hurt him on this lead run.
Yeah, it looks like the HMAS has fallen off its keel. Is that what you say in boat racing? Anyway, he's way out in the weeds, and Jory just doing exactly what he needs to do. He's either improving the line or following along. You are supposed to use them as a clipping point, but there's a point in time where they just go so far offline, you need to revert back to the judged line.
Here we go, Joey Bretkoff now have to lead this one out. Burgess gets away, of course, the big Barra power, found extra 50 horsepower in the off-season too, so he's got out quick, but a straighten in the background. Joey Bretkoff just doing his thing, going out, doesn't quite go all the way out on that ripple strip, and it's a bit risky when you get on there too. We've seen a couple of cars already just over-rotate when they hit that ripple strip. But you see Adam Burgess now does everything he can to close that gap down, try and get back on the door action there. Jory just leaves a little bit of room there, as the judge wanted around that section of the course, just so the chase driver can put their nose in. Here we go, and Jory Bretkoff will finish this drift off, and looks like he is going to go into the next round, and another fantastic drive from him.
Yeah, far too wobbly from the old HMAS in the background there, mate.
Well, Sam Mudge, he had to do it one more time, but he's made it through against Brian Cruikshank, who's been super impressive so far in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am, and then Benny Matthews will take on Jory Bretkoff. That is our top four in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am here at Winton Motor Raceway. Of course, we are here for round number one of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars. Of course, their top 8 of Pro Class are coming up next. Here we go. Now we're going to talk some big horsepower. Brendan O'Grady, Bogger as he's known in the series, the BSC performance car. This has got like 1,200 horsepower. It does it so easily. Taking on Senna Tunney. This one's going to be a fantastic battle. Yeah, a lot of horsepower here, and these guys are both pretty aggressive drivers. Senna in the background just getting a little bit unsettled there, clipped a little bit of ripple strip, and so that's an error for him early on. He's going to need to try and address that, get back onto the door early, and I'm pretty sure Bogger will leave him the space, which he's done there for him to get in there, but Senna just not comfortable with that car. I don't know if it's got anything to do with that hit from Dane Loco Wilson early in the day that's unsettled some alignment or something, but he's just not comfortable. I'll tell you what though, Brendan O'Grady, we spoke to him earlier and he said it's a lot of commitment to do the line here this weekend, and that's exactly what he's got. It's his home track, of course. Winton lives in Victoria. He's done this quite a lot around this track, And he's now going to do the chase run. All he needs to do is hold this together. Senatoni throws everything at it. Oh, I thought he wasn't going to hold on to that one. Doesn't carry the angle, though, past that clipping point. So O'Grady here with a little bit of an advantage there. He just needs to hold it together there in the big Hulk 180. Can he do it? Tunner throwing heaps of angle on, though. And look at the amount of smoke he's got pouring out the back. I think last time Bogger maybe lost him in the smoke. This time Senatoni's given him the same sort of reaction there and left him in the smoke. That one is going to be for the judges.
Yeah, well, look, a big angle there, but we did ask them through this section to make sure once they get to that angle, they stick it and hold it, and you can see that rear wheel locked. That's a deduction there for a big bum drag. We didn't want to see that. Brendan O'Grady doing a pretty reasonable job, but just coming a little bit behind. So we're going to go down to Jeff, and he's got Bogger in the pits.
Just wondering why you were playing it so safe there, Bog.
Well, I actually thought he spun. So, again, no spotter, man.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like you need a spotter.
I think I need a spotter.
Definitely do, mate. Feeling confident?
Yeah, look, the car feels good, man. The grip's good. The track's good. Yeah, I tried the entry that Stewie really wanted, which was not much angle going into that corner and then really late throw 90. Yeah. And it seemed to work, so hopefully they score it. We'll see.
All right, probably our toughest battle so far between those two, but Brendan looks like you go through. Brody Mayer now taking on James Abbott. Now, here's a couple of heavy hitters. James Abbott, former champion there, the Hi-Tec Blasian, but Brody Mayer coming from Tasmania, and although he's only had 4 years in drifting, second qualifier as he goes out wide on the ripple strip, holds onto it though. He held onto that, Dan. That is crazy lock on that car, and it just goes to show the driving experience that he does. He's done so much driving, but only 4 years drifting, and James Abbott off onto the weeds, and he is out there mowing the lawn at the moment. That is not what we want to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, agriculture and drifting just don't seem to mix that well, mate. He had the advantage too, which is a shame because it was very messy from Brody up front. But we'll switch him around and see what happens. Anything can happen in drifting, and 9 times out of 10 it does.
Well, we've already seen it in previous battles, and James Abbott, well, he's pretty clinical when it comes to this, and we normally see him qualify a bit higher than 7th where he did this weekend. But Brody Mayer just needs to do exactly what he did in qualifying and stick it to the door of James Abbott. Let's see them fill that outer clipping zone there, and James Abbott stands on the 2J, and oh, look at the smoke, and then out on the dirt, and Brody Mayer will get off the gas there and just pull him behind him. But mate, that's got to hurt James Abbott, especially with the season return.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like James, I was talking to him on yesterday afternoon, and he was just saying that he felt as the track went away, he needed to adjust the car or chase the track a little bit more. It's very highly strung, this car. It's a real work of art, but it means that there's more technicality into it. So he did say in qualifying on Saturday afternoon that he was losing a bit of grip as the sun dropped off, and you can see the sun's gone away again, and he's just starting to chase that a little bit more than he needs to. So unfortunately, 3 wheels off is a 0 in our sport, and that's going to mean a Brody Mayer win.
Yeah, we saw all the dust there on the Tri-Ace replay as we head over to our number 1 qualifier, Matt Hardy leaving Glenn Omrod out there. And Omrod's been super impressive as well this weekend. And like we say, a lot of in the background work going on there between him and our former champion. And looks like they've got this car dialed in again this weekend. Matt Harvey doing that clinical line once again, the surgeon. Such a precise cut there as he goes through the line. Glenn Omrod doing a nice job there, though, to stay on him door to door. Leaves that gap open, Matt Harvey, and Glenn Omrod will fill that on the inside line there, but so much smoke. Maybe that's just why he's gone off a little bit at the end of that drift, but they come and finish this one off. And Dan, how do you see the advantage on that one?
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be an advantage to Matt. He just did a little bit better in that one. Glenn's been fighting some clutch issues or gearbox issues all weekend, so I think that just as the clutch gets a bit hot mid in the run, he seems to just drop away a little bit, doesn't quite have the drive or the speed or something. A little bit of clutch slip potentially, but yeah, did really well through this section. Again, not quite filling the zone as well as we saw Matt Harvey do it. So lead versus lead, it's slight advantage still again to Matt. Watching them switch back through here, we're seeing them work hard away at that steering wheel, just tucking it in there. And Glenn's a really technical driver too, so this was a great battle to watch. Two guys just super technical, and wow, they both fell off.
Yeah, and what are the judges going to say about this one? Because there's going to be a bit of contention here, I think, because you saw Matt Harvey almost went off first. Was he led by the lead driver? How do we see that one?
Well, this is absolutely a led by the lead driver scenario. In this section, we stressed very heavily to them that you have to use the lead car as a clipping point. Wherever he goes, I want you to go. We want you to follow them. As we check out the Tri-Ace replay here, you're going to see Matt chasing Glenn, and watch where Glenn goes. He goes really high, and he's going to lead, in my opinion at least, Matt straight off the track. So for me, that's a Matt Harvey win.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't have any more issues with that car, because we know on Saturday in qualifying he had a brake boost to go, and they frantically fixed that overnight, of course, and got the car back out for Glenn Omrod. as he goes around. Maybe another mechanical issue there, Dan, but one more time from the judges. So some differing opinions on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you have a look at those replays, you can see it was really, really close on who went off first and where we went. So there's a bit of discussion after the call was made, and in the end we had one go OMT and one go towards Glenn. I went with Matt, so it's in the world we go in, that's a one more time. But definitely here, Glenn's suffering now with those clutch issues again. You see getting left behind by Matt Harvey off the line. Doing okay now, but unfortunately the horse is bolted at this point.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate to have some sort of mechanical failure there for Glenn Ormerod in the chase run. You can see the header's already down, and he's already looking for something. Let's hope that's not anything too major there, but unfortunately it looks like with Matt Harvey out in front, I can't see him making a mistake in this final corner, and that'll put Matt Harvey, I would say, into the next round as we wait for the judge's decision. The Tri-Ace replay will show it. Way out in front, Glenn Ormerod grabs that huge curb there. He is really struggling with the car at this point, so I would say there's definitely a mechanical failure there. He's on full lock, off onto the dirt, and at this point it's a 0 from Ormerod, isn't it, Dan, when it comes to the judging?
It is, mate. You've got to remember this car's a debut car too, so like Patrick Barley, there's going to be some gremlins in it, there's going to be some things they've got to work out. This is the first round this car's done in competition, so sure, same as Patrick Barley in that wonderful Corvette, they've done some testing, but when you put cars in competition, when it's the heat of the battle, that's when stuff breaks, and that's when you find these problems.
Glenn Ormerod leads us out this time over Matt Harvey as they go in, and is he still going to suffer from those issues there that we've seen? It looked like he may have had a clutch issue there, getting around after some brake issues in qualifying, and on full lock there, Matt Harvey, though, right up on the door. You can see him in that beautiful vision as they look through the door. Harvey, though, stays on that line. Ormerod's out wide, wheels are off, and he's on the dirt, and Matt Harvey will go through here, drives past him, stays on the line, and does everything the judges wanted, as he has done all weekend, and goes through to complete this one.
Yeah, mate, you can see, I think, just too much going on for poor little Gleno in that car. He's trying really hard. He's a great driver, and he's going to do wonderful things later on in the season once he gets his handle on that and they sort out those mechanical gremlins. But, from experience that I've had driving in cars myself, when you've got another mechanical issue you've got to manage, little mistakes in the heat of battle of top 8 is hard not to do. We're going to go down now. Jeff now, who's with Matt Harvey?
Here with Matt Harvey, he's driving so consistent.
I wouldn't say consistent, I'm just trying to keep it on the black stuff. So, Glenn did an awesome job first rerun, so unfortunately he just went off on the 4 wheels off on my chase run, so unlucky to him, but we're through the top 4, so I don't know who we're against now, but should be a fun battle.
Well, Mo Hawley's going to lead us out in that huge turbocharged LS, taking on Alex Shark. Now, it's Alex Shark's birthday this weekend, and he's done fantastic to make it this far, so it's good to see him having a good run. Mo Hawley, though, look at him go after fixing that knuckle up. He is back on the line, pushes it out wide too, grabs a little bit of handbrake there, but tries to fill that outer clipping zone that you guys were looking for in the judging, and Alex Shark are just somewhere in that smoke screen that Mo's putting on.
Yeah, a little bit messy from Alex behind, but he's doing his best to keep up with Mo. Mo running a clinical front line out there, and I've been saying clinical a bit, but the boys were really at the top end of town have been getting this exactly right. So a good run there from Mo out in front, leaving all the opportunities for Alex, and he's just not quite getting them. For me, it's a little advantage to Mo.
And here we go, Alex Shark now gets his chance to lead in this battle. Mo Hawley, though, will come up behind him. It's on his home track in Victoria too, so he's got a lot of experience getting around here. And Sharker leads him away with the speed of the Barra-powered S14. Look at him go. You see, look at the lock on Mo Hawley as he tries to close that gap up, grabs a little bit of curb, but look at the smoke display on now from both drivers as they go through. A little bit of a bobble of the steering wheel there from Mo Hawley as Sharker just drives away from him. Look at the gap between them, Dan.
Yeah, that's very un-Mo. Like, I think there might be something more amiss in that car than we can see from here. It's definitely not Mo. Like, normally Mo is just trying to write his signature all over someone's door, but you can see back there on the Tri-Ace replay that there's definitely a big straighten from Mo, and that has going to cost him big time.
Well, the birthday weekend continues here for Alex Sharker as he grabs the win here. How good is this? Checking out the Tri-Ace replay, and the Barra-powered S14 just has so much grip at the moment and drives away. And as you can see, our top 4 now for the Hi-Tec Oils Pro will be Matt Harvey taking on Brendan O'Grady. That is going to be an impressive battle between those two. And Brodie Mayer and Alex Sharker. What will happen there? Will Sharker continue the birthday celebrations? Will Brodie Mayer continue on his Tasmanian rant as he's come through and made it this far? I tell you what, look at the guys down there working feverishly in the background there to repair a few of the cars. But our top 4 now done in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro and the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. We'll be back after this break. As the sun sets in the background, we move on to our top four here at round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars at Winton Motor Raceway. And our top 4 Zoo Performance Pro-Am about to get underway, and here they are lined up and ready to go out on track. It's fantastic to be back. Of course, myself, Matt Kavanagh, and Dan Mackey here giving you everything that's happening throughout today's proceedings. Top 4 heading out on track now, though, in the Zoo Performance Pro-Am. And Brian Cruikshank, can anyone stop him at the moment? Because he has been super impressive. And like we say, with the BMW seems to be set up, just chasing that grip out there in the Pro-Am guys. Like obviously with the much smaller tyre, they seem to be doing a fantastic job. Sam Mudge will have to try and chase him down in this one with Cruikshank leading away. And look at the gap he's already opened up in the BMW, and that thing just grips up so well. I don't know what he's done to this car, but the changes they've made are there. Of course, the 1.5 JZ powering this thing. He's got plenty of power there to get this around, and Sam Mudge just struggling to keep up with the pace of Brian Cruikshank on this one as he goes around. Leaves a little bit of room there, just like the judges wanted, Dan. And I tell you what, for a Pro-Am driver, he's super impressive at the moment, isn't he?
Look, he's building a car that's going to cut it in pro. This car he's got here he'd get left behind, and he knows that. So he's out there just honing his skills. Not sure what happened to the start line there. We'll see if we can get something back from Kurt on the start line there about what actually went down with Sam. But it looked like he just didn't get away well. Handing at this stage, at least, unless there's no protest or anything that comes through, a big advantage to Brian, who's exactly as you say, he's just following along, he's ticking all the boxes, although he's a little bit shallow there. Again, he needs to tighten this up. It's been so exciting, some of these battles. We've had some cracking ones already, and to watch as they come through here again, leaving the room, a little bit of an error there from Sam, again, just dropping a wheel. But these battles are going to be awesome to watch. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he's been in this position before there, and he managed to make it through. He cracked under pressure for a second there and made it back, but in this time, though, looks like Brian Cruikshank is going to get the win over Sam Mudge in that battle. So the Zoo Performance Pro-Am top 4 out on track at the moment. Jory Bretkoff now taking on Ben Matthews, and Ben Matthews, he started out at 15th in qualifying, so he's done fantastic to make it into the top 4, but Jory Bretkoff just leads away here, as you can see him, opens up a nice little gap, and Benny Matthews probably going to have to do a little bit of a dive there to try and close that up if he wants to try and score some big points in this chase. Running a straight in there, looks like he's off. No, he's gone. He's off the gas, isn't he? That's going to hurt him, really, Dan.
Something definitely going wrong with that car out there. It's, Ben's been driving really well. And like you say, qualifying 15th, it doesn't mean much in our game. It's all about the battles. Everyone gets an opportunity to win or lose when you go out to battle. Unfortunately, though, it looks like his amazing run has been put to a stop by a car issue. And again, as they leave the line now, reversed around, ready to rock and roll, it just doesn't look like that thing's hooking up. Whether there's a bit of a misfire, we'll have a bit of a listen as they come through here and see if we can pick anything up.
Yeah, Ben Matthews there trying to fill that outer clipping zone there. He grabs a bit of handbrake, not much angle at this point. He's trying to go right out there as the judges wanted and use as much of that as possible. Jory Bretkoff, though, just takes full advantage of the pace his car seems to have over Ben Matthews and sticks it to the door. Nice line here from both of them, actually, and Jory Bretkoff doing a fantastic job to put the nose in on this one. Benny Matthews now, final corner. You would think, though, that Jory Bretkoff would advantage, but Matthews goes off onto the dirt. Looks like some issues there for him. And we have seen quite a few cars with some issues. Of course, it is round 1. We haven't drifted for 15 months. As we look up there on the Zoo Performance Pro-Am battle tree, and Sam Mudge will be taking on Ben Matthews for 3rd position, and the final will be between Brian Cruikshank and Jory Bretkoff. Back here, though, it looks like we're going to go to the Hi-Tec Oils top 4 of the Pro class now, and let's see who is going to battle it out first. And look at this one. What a battle we've got. Matt Harvey leading this one out, our number 1 qualifier. Will he get another win like he did in round number 1 of 2020? But Brendan O'Grady's got other things planned there, because the big horsepower of Bogger's car, he needs to stick it to the door of Matt Harvey. And this is his home track, but he grabs a heap of curb this time. Harvey out, doing the line perfectly there, and you can see the gap open up as O'Grady needs to get on the brakes there to avoid contact. Now the Power Plus Fuels S13 and Matt Harvey powers away there, leaves the gap there. Bogger goes wide as well, Dan. Wow, Matt Harvey is so clinical.
Well, you've got it there, haven't you, mate? You've got the Hulk, the green Hulk at the background versus the Surgeon, and I tell you what, you couldn't have 2 more contrasting drivers out there. They're both ready to biff, bash, and have a crack. Really, really good chase from Bogger, making a few errors there, as we're seeing in the Tri-Ace replay. Just not quite getting those little bits and snippets that you need to get in the top 4. When you get to this level and a door gets opened up like that, you need to be right on that Kumo sign on Matt Harvey's car and just giving it to him.
And so far, Matt Harvey has been really good in the chase run as well. As we have the Tri-Ace replay up there, you can see Matt Harvey just doing the line exactly what the judges wanted. O'Grady there does catch it up in the end with that big horsepower and big grip on that car, but he's going to have to pull something out here, Brendan O'Grady. Matt Harvey's been the man to watch so far all weekend. Once again, he gets right up in the back there.
Oh, too close, I reckon. He needed to be nose to tail, and he's made an error. Look, you can see he was right up there on his door. He really wanted to press hard, but he was too close, and this has caused him a big error there that's going to cost him a lot in that tech section. Yeah,
Brendan O'Grady now leads away in the BSC Performance 180. I love that big intake sticking out the front, and this thing, when it gets up on the turbo, listen to it scream. Matt Harvey closed that gap down the end, but a really untidy chase run from him after what he put together in the lead run. The Tri-Ace replay shows it there. He's already all the way up on the inside there, and O'Grady then just grabs a little bit of curb, but it's from this point on where O'Grady really shines in this one.
Yeah, we told the guys very explicitly not to be overlapping at that point. They needed to be nose and tail. Let's get down to Jeff in the pits, who's got Brendan O'Grady.
How'd you go, Bugger?
Look, I boxed him out a little bit on that, the entry into the first S there. A little bit more grip than what I expected. But it looks like we just took the win, so I'm actually really surprised with that. That's freaking awesome. We're top 3, baby. Woo!
And there's not much in that, is there, Dan, when you're talking a win in that one between those two? But very surprised Matt Harvey won't go through, and Bogger gets the win there. Now we see Brody Mayer take off. Alex Sharker needs to chase him down in the Barra-powered S14, but Brody Mayer, I tell you what, the 2.4 SR20, mate, that thing has huge horsepower and has just driven away, and Brody Mayer putting on a qualifying run in the lead here.
Well, I don't know how many of our viewers know much about Time Attack Racing, but the engine in that Brody Maher machine is straight out of the MCA Hammerhead, one of the world's quickest cars in Time Attack Racing.
Yeah, you can see him there, just strong finish there, and Sharker in the background trying to do whatever he can to close that gap down as we check out the Tri-Ace replay here, and you can see how far apart they are. And Sharker, I don't know what else he can do at this point except try and straighten the car up and drive that to get on the door of Brody Mayer, but he is super impressive in his first time competing in the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars in the Pro Series. Brody Mayer from Tasmania, the big trek across, of course, on the barge. They've done all the work to be here. Only planning to do a couple of rounds of the Hi-Tec Series, but so impressive so far, and let's hope we get him on for the rest of the season. Alex Sharker now getting his chance to lead here as he goes away. The Barra power, does it have more power to lead? I don't know. Brody Mayer sticks it to the door here as they go into the first big transition. Nice there, as you see Sharker filling that outer clipping zone there. He comes in nice and tight. Mayer not wanting to leave him there. A little bit of a straighten there though, Dan. Not quite as much angle as we see Sharker before, but using that lead car as a clipping point.
Yeah, a little bit wobbly from Sharker up front. His lead line isn't as clean as what we've been seeing from some of the other drivers. He's still doing a very good job, but he just needs to clean it up and make it a little bit smoother so that it's easier for the guys to follow. A pretty good run, but unfortunately not enough to overcome the deficit from the first one.
Yeah, the Tri-Ace replay shows it here, and Mayer doing a nice job there in the chase run there. He just had to keep that reasonably tidy there, I think. A huge advantage for Mayer in that lead run earlier, so he didn't want to risk it there at that point. I wouldn't think you'd want to. The Bonnie Electrical car there of Brody Mayer just in the background there, you can see it up there on the vision there, pulls out there as they do the transition, gets back on the door there of Alex Sharker, and well, Sharker's birthday weekend, the celebrations might have come to an end. Here we go though, the battle for third place is going to be between Matt Harvey and Alex Sharker. That one's going to be super hard there, another Tasmanian he comes up against. Brendan O'Grady though, will he get a win here against Brody Mayer? I tell you what, that's going to be an exciting battle as well because they've been super competitive, and Brendan O'Grady, when it comes to battle time, that car has been super gripped up and has every bit of horsepower you're ever going to need when it comes to drifting. All right, let's check out the Pro-Am top 4 now, and this is going to be the battle for third place between Ben Matthews and Sam Mudge. Ben Matthews leading us out, and last time we saw this car a little bit slower and seemed to have a couple of issues there. Hopefully they've got that sorted, maybe a bit of a misfire there, but Sam Mudge staying with him on this one, and Mudge has had a bit of an up and down weekend, but his first time competing in the Pro-Am Series. Now Matthews there leads it out there, fills that outer clipping zone there, but Mudge stays with him, Dan.
Yeah, the guys have only had pretty much 10 minutes to find and fix that issue, so they've done a pretty good job. The car seems to be running well, and Sam Mudge giving him a little bit of room, knew he had an issue, didn't want to damage the new livery on there, giving him a lot too much room here. I'm not quite sure what Sam's up to. He needs to be closer, needs to engage.
Yeah, that time he just straightened in as we check out the Tri-Ace replay. Of course, the Zoo Performance Pro-Am top 4. This is the battle for the third position at the moment, and Benny Matthews there just putting a nice run together this time. Didn't seem to have as many mechanical issues on this one and goes through. But Sam Mudge, we're not quite sure about this final corner here where he has a bit of a straighten there. You see him grab a little bit of handbrake. It's almost like he missed a gear there or something with the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they seem to be fighting with a little bit of pain, the Pro-Am guys, as we get later on into the into the brackets. We'll switch them around. We'll see what happens. Hopefully Sam hasn't got anything terminal and we can have a good battle.
Here we go, Mudge will lead this one out, and as the sun is still sitting there, the grip levels are coming out on track. So that might be some of the issues there. Mudge goes wide out in the dirt. Ben Matthews follows him out there. Of course, the clipping point is the lead driver at some points of this drift and just follows him out on the dirt there. But Sam Mudge is the first to go way out, and he's taken those signs home. He just wants a bit of a trophy from the weekend, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can't get a 1, 2, 3, whether you're in top 4, you might as well take the signs with you. But definitely... Sam just pushing really, really hard. I think he's got some sort of a miss or an issue with that car because he's been driving so consistently the rest of the weekend. I just don't think that's all him. I think there's something with the car. Really, really done a great effort. The car looks fantastic, and I hope he hasn't damaged it too much. But we'll see him back, I'm sure, at another round. Good effort from both the drivers in that weekend.
Here we go from the Zoo Performance Pro-Am class. So your battle for the winner right now between 1 and 2. They've made it all this way. Brian Cruikshank actually qualified number 1 in round number 1 2020. He's made it through to the final here though for the 2021 round 1 at Winton Motor Raceway, and Jory Bretcroft though is going to be a tough competitor. So far we've seen him do really well to make it this far. He's in the chase this time. Brian Cruikshank though carrying a whole heap of speed. He goes out wide, feels the outer clipping zone. Jory Bretcroft just backs off a bit there, and it looks like he's got some power issues or something at that point, because Brian Cruikshank just driving this BMW away. And look at the grip levels on this thing. For a small tyre, that thing is fast.
Yeah, Brian, very, very technical driver, as I said earlier, and he really chases tracks. He knows how to set cars up, and he just keeps dialing it, more grip, and you can see that now. And this is probably the difference between the top end of the Pro-Am guys. You know, the guys that are starting to get to that level where they need to go into Pro, they understand tracks, understand cars, tyre grip, and they're making it work. Whereas Jory, again, I think this is his first event for the Hi-Tec Series, and he's done a great job to get this far. Another Tasmanian, if I'm correct. So they're really making a big surge over into the mainland. But yeah, let's see what happens when we swap them around.
Well, Jory Bretcroft had a little bit of a misfire issue yesterday in qualifying, so maybe that has developed once again, but it looks like it hasn't in this run. He is way out in front, looking comfortable there. Right on the outer clipping zone there, but no, pulls the car up, slows it right down, and Brian Cruikshank doing a fantastic job not to make contact at that point, really has to slow the car down, but as you can see him, they're looking very comfortable behind the wheel too, Brian Cruikshank. That car looks very balanced. Not surprising he does a bit of chassis building as his day job, normally working on the drag cars, but I tell you what, he's got this car set up amazingly and puts it door to door on the final corner. Jory Bretcroft, we check out the Tri-Ace replay. He got away really nicely, Dan.
He did. He got away really nicely, set that car up just a slight bit too wide, but not enough to make a major deduction. And he's left that door open, and Brian's done exactly what we've asked him to do. So in this case, it's all about getting that chase car to take that opportunity, and Brian's done exactly that. A good run from Jory. I don't know what happened in his first one, but certainly a much better run here. Maybe he's down a little bit on power because it was pretty easy for him to follow.
How does it feel to be the Zoo Performance Pro-Am?
Awesome, man. Yeah, it was really good. Struggled with setup a little bit yesterday and sort of come to grips with it, and yeah, we ended up top spot, so it was killer.
It all came together.
Yeah, man, yeah, really happy.
So our results for the Zoo Performance Pro-Am here for round number 1 at Winton Motor Raceway. Brian Cruikshank brings the BMW home in position number 1, 113 points to kick off the championship. Jory Bretcroft gets second, Benny Matthews in third, Sam Mudge in fourth, Nathan Ranson in fifth, Adam Burgess in sixth, Steve Cerrone in seventh, and rounding out your top 8 is Nick Clipper. Now let's look at our Hi-Tec Oils Pro Series, our battle for third position. I tell you what, the big horsepower cars, they're gripped up this weekend at Winton Motor Raceway, and that's what they've been trying to do, get a bit of grip out of the cars for some of these drivers. But Matt Harvey, how's he going to kick off things? He's in the battle for third with Alex Sharker this time, and he's got the lead run here. He's been super clinical, very unlucky not to make it in the battle for 1 and 2 with his fellow Tasmanian Brodie Mayer, and he leads away from Alex Sharker at this point, putting it right out in those clipping zones which the judges were asking for in the walkthrough this morning. And as you can see, Alex Sharker just needs to put together a nice chase run behind Matt Harvey, because Matt Harvey is the man to beat in this battle at the moment. You think he would have the advantage in the Power Plus S13. Goes through once again. Dan, I don't know, has he done anything wrong in that run?
It's very, very close to a perfect run, that one. I remember saying that to the boys just a second ago, that this is looking like an amazing run here. And he's picking up all those points. He's leaving all the opportunities. Alex is not doing too bad a job of staying in there and tucking in. Didn't quite tuck it down where he needed to there and get right up onto that door, and he's had that little bit of an issue most of the way through these events. Again, down onto that clipping zone. Pretty much one of the only drivers that can do that is Matt Harvey, but Alex has done a great job to stay with him. This one's pretty close.
I do love that view as you look over the barra, just chasing down Matt Harvey. This time, though, he's going to have to do the chase run, as the lead will be Alex Sharker. No smoke! What do we see under the front? Matt Harvey nowhere to go. Sharker with some huge issues there, and fire I'm going to say that's rods out, Dan. I reckon that is rods out. There must be some oil under that engine bay, and that's a huge ending to his weekend, his birthday weekend. He's done so well to make it into the top 4, Alex Sharker, and Matt Harvey now with a wounded S13 will have to make that off the track. As you can see, Sharker gets out and putting out his fire there, but that looks like some huge mechanical damage.
Yeah, that was definitely not something natural. You can't call that a wastegate flame at all. That's, yeah, I think you're probably right. That's going to be rods out or something like that. As we watch them get away here, first, second, third, just grabs fourth gear, which is what we want, and it's just bits and pieces going everywhere, sparks. Unfortunately, Matt Harvey would have had nowhere to go, and if that is rods out, even trying to hit the brakes is just going to be like slipping on oil. He'll be straight into the door with no fault of his own. It's just a racing incident, unfortunately. But of course, Alex isn't going to be able to continue, so it'll come back down to Matt Harvey for that one.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Harvey will take the win there and end up on the podium in third place, and a huge amount of smoke coming out there. And like you say, suspecting rods out, if that's oil down, Matt Harvey then too, the understeer, nowhere to go, and looks like they'll have to take that back to Tasmania and do a few repairs on the front bar for that one as we dusted up his car this weekend. But let's move on to the final now, as Alex Sharker with that huge engine damage, and Matt Harvey will get on the podium in third. But who's going to be in first? That is the question. Of course, Brodie Mayer, his first time entering the Hi-Tec Oils Pro Series, the Bonnie electrical car from Tasmania, and Brendan O'Grady. This is his home track, really. He's a Victorian. He's got huge horsepower. What's going to happen in this battle?
Well, this was an interesting one, and I've got to say thanks to our crew there on the ground. They're super efficient getting it all cleaned up and tidied up. We allowed the guys to start a little bit later because of that oil down, and they really had no opportunity to adjust to this. So we've watched as they go through here and see how they adjust. Brodie leaving that room, Bogger tucking it down, probably a little bit behind where I'd like him to be. A little bit closer would have been better. As he comes around here again, Brodie doing the right thing, left the door open, Bogger trying to gain up again. So a really good run here from Bogger, trying to chase him down, but a very, very clinical run from Brodie. As you can see, just a little bit wide, but not quite dropping that wheel. So this has been a very, very good run from these two boys, considering they had oil down and no practice of that entry.
Mate, the Trias replay showed it. How close was he on that outer ripple strip? That was millimetres off going off. This guy is driving phenomenal for his first time here in the Hi-Tec Oils Pro Series, and leaves a gap over Brendan O'Grady there, who has all that horsepower and grip in that car. Let's see what happens this time. Will he drive away more comfortable in the lead line, maybe, as you see them just undercut there where they've done that spill? So that is the difference now as they go into the finals. They've had to adjust to that driving in a very short time frame. O'Grady, though, leads away. Mayer, what does he do? Close this gap up. Dan, I tell you what, he washed off a lot of speed that time.
He did. He should have been expecting, and he was obviously expecting Bogger to leave a little bit more room there in that first hairpin, and he didn't. Bogger just going a little bit shallow, and that shut the door at him. So that's going to mean that he's got to push hard to come up, and he didn't expect him to be there.
Well, this one's going to be close, isn't it, Dan? I mean, we saw Brodie Mayer did a clinical lead run there, and we check out the Trias replay now. It's Bogger's turn to lead away. The sun's setting. It's getting a little bit darker out there. They've had to contend with a different entry now, and he does a nice run here, but not quite as wide as you were expecting.
Absolutely, mate. This has come down to lead versus lead, and Brodie's lead was really, really clinical. He did a great job, left all the doors. Bogger hasn't done as good a job as he could have. It's going to be Brodie Mayer taking the victory for this one. Let's get down to Jeff, who's celebrating with the top three.
Super stoked, hey, I can't believe it. Yeah, it was so hard to get here. Like we had, with COVID, getting on the Spirit, it's been such a big challenge. It was so difficult, and so many car dramas. Like, totally love all the boys, all my crew, making it happen. We actually put a CV together, banged an axle out, put a CV together for the top 4 battle. It's been crazy. Track was awesome. That was dicey, with a bit of oil out there. Bogger drove sweet, but yeah, just loving it, huh?
I'd like to thank Zoo Performance and Zach Nova tyres, BSC Performance, Bling Designs, Hi-Tec Oils and Lubricants, Intense Turbos, all the crew for helping me out, and yeah, just Hi-Tec for putting on a pretty rad show.
Oh, it was pretty blinding, to be honest. You know, it's we entered same time, and the rest is history. I literally just slid off. All I saw was dirt, and then a car, and then dirt, and that's about it. So unlucky for. But yeah, that's not the way we want to win, but at the same time it's third place. So, you know, thanks to all my sponsors, Kumo, Power Plus, Disco Tune for getting the car here. It's been a crazy event, and we got, if it's not one Tasmania, it's the other Tasmania on the podium, so it's pretty sick.
Great to see the celebrations down in the pit, and a new name at the top, Dan. Brodie Mayer from Tasmania just came out, qualified second, and takes the win here for round number 1 of 2021.
The first time in a final for both of the two at the top of the tree. Great to see new names up there. It's really, really exciting, particularly with the retirement of Bo Yates this year. Matt Harvey just getting a little bit too overzealous, or he had a real good shot. I thought he was a favourite to make it through, but he's going to be in third. Alex Sharker having a birthday weekend to remember. Moe Don't Worry finishing 5th. James Abbott in 6th. Little Gleno having a bit of a battle there at the car drummers, and Senatani a little bit the same, but that rounds out our top 8.
I tell you what, though, I can't wait for round number 2 that's going to be coming to you from South Australia. Of course, July 3rd and 4th at the Bend Motorsport Park. Of course, our Hi-Tec Oils Pro and our Zoo Performance Pro-Am are back. And if you want to get tickets or you want to enter the drifting there, www.hitecdriftingaustralia.com.au. Round number 2, not that far away actually. It's only a few weeks and we do it all again, all thanks to the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars as the celebrations continue down in the pits. Look at the guys hugging there from Tasmania. Brodie Mayer only planned on doing 2 rounds of this one. He was always going to go to the Bend. Will we see him for the rest of the season?
Well, it's going to be pretty hard for his sponsors to say we're not going to help him out now, mate. The man is driving fantastic in that car. He's really doing a great job and it's fantastic to see.
Thanks everyone for joining us for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars at Winton Motor Raceway. Can't wait to see you for round number 2.
Coming up after the break, we wind back to the opening round of the 2014 Australian Offshore Superboat Championship from Newcastle in New South Wales.